Hello friends, welcome to my channel SushantChessWise. Today we are at the next topic, that is the theoretical Rook Endgames, and we are going to discuss the case of pawn on the 4th rank once again. This time we have got a case of knight pawn, and I must tell you that in case of knight pawn, if black keeps his king properly on the 5th or the 6th rank, even if the king is cut by 2 files like it is here, it's still possible for black to get a draw. But he has to play the game very precisely, and let's see what are the mistakes that black needs to avoid. Firstly, if white tries to win normally by king a4, this technique we have discussed before also, the rook simply will harass the king. After kb5, rook check, kc5, rook check, kb6, king is trying to diagonally go near the rook, but after rook b8 his plan fails and he has to come back to support the pawn, and again when the checks appear, all he is forced to do is after the checks come back to the square b3 and hide over there. So after king a4, rook a8, kb3, rook b8, we simply transpose to the previous position. Once the pawn reaches 5th rank, king is cut by 2 files, it's game over for black. So white will try to protect the pawn with rook d4. This is one of the main attempts. Once he is able to support the pawn and get an extra move, let's say the king penetrates, then it will be winning for white. Let's say, just to show you, we will enter into a nice analytical line here. Let's say black wastes a move now. Instead of ke5, ke5 is the only correct move. If he plays any move like ke7, then what will happen is the king will get the desired tempo after the checks. King b5, rook check, king c6, rook check, king b7, and now see what happens. The rook is attacked and we are able to come diagonally because rook b8 check b4 was not hanging, and if we get this position and he gets rook b5, then also kc6 we force the rook to move and the pawn reaches the 5th rank. We'll look at it in more detail later. So ke5, good move. Now white has 2 tries. One, he can play kc3 or he can try to get the rook to d7. Rook d7, immediately black attacks the rook. Rook goes to a7. Now black has to play carefully. The rook on a7 has stopped the check from rook 8. White intends to go ka4 and b5. So black brings his king quickly, and after king a4 we see right on time black gets the move kc6. Once the king settles on b6, we will get the desired Philidor position which will hold for black. After king a5, black can just do rook b5 check, when after king a4 forced, we can go back rook b8 and the position is just drawn. Thus after ke5, rook needs to keep the control of d5 and the rook can be protected by means of kc3 only. Otherwise black again goes ke6. Here black can hold the game by 2 ways. Either he can go rook c8 or he can play rook h8. Rook h8 is a safer attempt, but rook c8 can also manage to draw the game. The point is that many a times after rook c8, rook c4, if the king manages to reach b3 on time or reach a4 on time, then the position can go out of control. Especially we see in many analytical lines that if the rook settles on the c6 square, then what can happen is the king here on d5 like this can get trapped because the rook is cutting the king on the 5th rank, so the king cannot go to the 6th rank, and if we get such a position with pawn on b5, then it will become a losing game because king has lost both c5 and the c6 squares. So with this same position with king on b3 would have been winning for white, but here black has the saving resource. Rook c8 check, kb3, rook c6 which is just coming on time. After b5, rook a6, ba6, kc6 is draw, and after rook a7 there is rook b6, and we see that after king a4, king manages to reach the c6 square on time. So this 6th rank plays a major role. So if we have this position, then this is gone. This is lost for black, because now king a4 and b5 is unstoppable. This king will never reach the 6th rank and it will be losing for black. That's why it makes more sense to keep the king on c3 itself and play the move rook h8. So the king will not reach b3 a4 very easily. Now it looks like white can play the move b5, but after b5 there is the simple rook b8. Using tactics, simple tactics, kb4 or c4 are not possible because of rook into b5. So rook comes to b4, then we can use king d5 followed by kc5 and forcibly we take the pawn. Thus after rook h4, tactically protect the pawn, that is rook h5 if rook b5 is taken. Then simply king goes to d6 and again we see the same method. King will soon join c7 and b6 or the b7 squares, one of them, and the king will settle in front of the pawn and we reach the Philidor kind of position. Thus kb4, kc7 is a drawn game. So finally white can try rook d7, k e6 and again try to go rook a7. White wants to play b5 and get his king closer. And here black can just play kd6. After rook d4, we have just repeated the position after ke5. So this is the right way to hold the game. But before we end the analysis, I must tell you one very important point here. If black plays instead of ke6 the move rook c8, then white gets a winning position because his king reaches the b5 quickly or reaches the a4 square quickly. Now comes kb3, ae6, rook d4. After rook b8, we reach the winning position with kc4. Now rook checks will allow the king to attack the rook. So rook check, kb5, rook check or king c5, which is safer of course. And now rook check, kb6, rook b8, kc7, rook d5, kc6. Rook has to go away and the pawn reaches the 5th rank and white wins. The analysis was somewhat tricky, but with repeated practice it should be easy to grasp the concepts. I hope you are finding these lessons useful. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.